There's an idea by the English philosopher and writer Oliver Berkman, which is called the productivity debt. But if you clicked on the theory, you'll probably already know what this idea kind of means. And before I'll explain it, let me first tell you my story about my relationship with productivity. So before I got on self-improvement, and that was 1.5 years ago, my life was messy, hectic. I didn't have any like sort of schedule or any like routine. I had sort of like rituals that, for example, like I woke up, I would grab my phone instantly, then I would eat some breakfast, go and play video games for 6 hours. So I had kind of like those rituals, but I never had a stable schedule or anything of that sort. Since I've gone on self improvement, I've created myself a daily schedule which I have been following for 1.5 years, and of course, like it has changed a lot. And if I will compare my current daily schedule to my first ever like daily schedule, those are like two different universes. But the matter of the fact is, I have been following some sort of like a daily schedule for the past 1.5 years. And when I started creating those daily schedules and when I started all of this stuff with morning routines and with just like following a routine, one of the things that I started optimizing for was productivity because, of course, before that I was just like terrifyingly unproductive. And when you get in self improvement, one of the first concepts that you learn is that productivity concept, how to make your work more efficient, the input output, the effort. Like you get the point. You learn all of this stuff, and I've started optimizing for productivity. And for the first like months, and even I would say for the first year on self improvement, this was a pretty stable, good journey. Just simply because it was very linear. It's like if I would like let me take a piece of paper and a pen right here because this is going to be an unfiltered video. I'm not going to add anything. Let me just like draw right here. I don't know. Let's just take out a piece of paper. Let's create some sort of like a I don't know happiness and productivity. So basically, it went like this. So you get the point. When I wasn't productive at all, when I was just slacking off, I wasn't happy. But when I was more productive, I was happier. So it was a very sort of linear progress that I made in the first year. Sorry, not progress, but just a very linear dynamic that I had for the first year. But when I kind of like became more advanced in my self improvement journey, a very sort of unusual thing started appearing. And it is that even though some days I was just super productive, I had a sense of just like falling behind. I had a sense of just slacking off. And I I kind of like this was a very unusual thing that I woke up, I had this feeling of just having a sort of like a debt that I needed to pay, and this debt was like a productivity debt. So I need to kind of pay off some obscure debt that I didn't even understand, and if I didn't pay it back, I would just be flooded with the feelings of guilt, shame, sorrow, regret, etc. It's like I would be flooded with negative emotions. And you know, you don't want to live a life where you have those emotions constantly. And of course, when I kind of understood what was going on, I started optimizing for productivity even more. But that led to even that led to even a worse dynamic, because like each time that I was optimizing for productivity more, my expectations of my own work would increase. And if I didn't, for like at some point, if I didn't suffer throughout the day when I was trying to like be productive, that didn't count. It's like if I didn't suffer, that wasn't productive. And this was a very vague, as I said, it was a very way vague, obscure feeling that I had. And one time, probably like a month or so ago, I was listening to a podcast, and I've heard about this idea of productivity that, and Oliver Berkman, whose podcast I was listening to, he was on the podcast. He explained it in details, which kind of like I had this aha moment that all of this time, this vague feeling was actually like this concept that I fell into. And so today, I'm going to explain what the productivity debt means in details, and also what solutions have I found to actually stop feeling this debt in your life. Because like, let's be honest, if you're watching this kind of video, if you're watching a video not about like some morning routine or some like Huberman sunlight productivity, you get the point. It's like you're probably more advanced in your self-improvement journey than most of the people, and you can relate to what I'm talking right here. That productivity doesn't have like only its benefits and like the good stuff and efficiency and the outputs. You get the point. It isn't so wishy-washy as the whole self-improvement community tries it to make. But it has its own perils. And the perils are is that each time that you slack off, you feel just an unbelievable just flood of guilt. And this guilt is something that you don't want to live, because like you don't want to live with, because you can talk about not feeling emotions and being like aloof and stoic for your whole day, but like the matter of the fact is nobody wants to live with negative emotions. And if there is a way to minimize them by optimizing something for, not by optimizing, but by reducing some obscure feeling, it's like this is what we should do. And so let me first explain the basic concept of productivity, the three stages of productivity that I found to be when you try to optimize for productivity. So the first stage of productivity, it's like when you just first the first stage of productivity is basically when you are not productive. We've been there before. It's like you and me, we have been there before. I have played video games for 6 hours a day, probably for a solid 2 years of my life. This was my daily routine. I came back from school, I opened up my iPad, I opened up the WhatsApp or the Discord app. I would call my gamer friends and we would just play COD for like 6 hours. And of course, like we've been there before, there is nothing to clarify. There is just like a stage where you aren't productive, when you're not aware of all of those concepts, where you're not on self improvement. It's like there's nothing here to explain. It's like we've been there before, time has passed. All right. The second stage is the productivity stage. It's when you first realize that being productive is a thing. So maybe you get in self improvement, not maybe, you get in self improvement, and you start to you discover all of those concepts. You discover like the books and the videos and the courses and the productivity YouTubers and etc. And you realize that being productive is actually a thing, that you can make the work that you're doing more efficient, that you can actually like minimize the effort and get the most output. And you learn all of those like concepts and mental models and like hacks and etc. And this is basically a stage where you try to optimize for productivity. This was me when I just got on self improvement, and this was until like probably my first anniversary on self improvement. This I was just basically optimizing for the maximum amount of like efficiency and I don't know work output and all of this stuff. And this was basically a stage where I wouldn't say I discovered productivity, but I kind of played around with it. And I tried what the productivity YouTubers would tell me. I implemented some things in my life, some things I just just threw out of my life. And yeah, this is just basically a stage where you kind of like when you discover productivity, you play around with it, you optimize for it. This stage. And the first stage is what's called the post productivity. This is a term developed by me because like I have been recently in a conversation with someone, and I have been just like talking about productivity, and this is the term that I developed, which is called post productivity. I like it. So what is post productivity? It is basically where you kind of where you have been already productive for such a long time that now you can see not only the benefits of productivity, but you also see the kind of like the dark side of it. And it sounds to the people who are just optimizing for productivity or who even aren't productive yet, this sounds this sounds insane that productivity is basically a very positive word. It is a word like productivity, you can't really use this word in a negative way. But of course, as the guys who are like me and you are more advanced on self-improvement than the guys who are just starting out, we have now realized that productivity has its own dark side, and this is this like more spiritual emotional side. Like sounds a little bit vague. I'm going to explain it a little bit later, but you probably understand what I mean. And basically the post productivity stage is where you kind of get to a point in your life where being productive is not enough. Being if being like efficient with your work, reading all of those books on productivity, just like accomplishing as much like work tasks as you can in like the first hour of your day, it's like you're not enough with that. You're not enough, and you need to be more productive. Like your brain tells you to be more productive than you currently are. And of course, you start to optimize for more productivity. You start to eliminate even the little things in your life. But what that basically leads to is that your expectations of your own productivity grow as you try to optimize for more productivity. And this is an unreach like the point at which you feel sufficiently productive is unreachable. It's like you cannot get there. You cannot pay off this like debt. And I'm not talking in the micro sense and like the daily basis, but you on on a more macro scale, if you would look at the seasons in your life and you would just ask yourself, like, was I productive there? Probably a lot of the times you would actually answer no because your own brain tells you to be more productive. But there are some things that's like you get to a certain level where you kind of cannot get more productive just simply because sometimes you have to sacrifice those things which are awful, which like you shouldn't sacrifice, which you just like, for example, sleep. Of course, like there's no point in doing more work if it comes at the cost of sleeping less. This is just like this is meaningless. This is stupidity. And this post productivity stage, it is a stage wherein not a lot of people enter it, but those who enter it, like, they suffer a lot. Just simply because this isn't a very popular advice. Like, the video that I'm recording right now for you, it isn't going to be a very popular video. It isn't going to be the, like, the Huberman morning sunlight routine, or how to like do the hardest work first thing in the morning. Like, this isn't your normal productivity video. This is for a very this video I'm recording for you, this video is for a very specific audience, and there are not a lot of people who are going to be familiar with this problem. But this is also the reason why I'm recording this. Is just simply because there isn't much advice for the guys who are already productive. It's like I'm probably using this term not in the right way right now, but it's kind of like, it's somewhat of a champagne problem. It's like, you are already productive, so you have already surpassed 99% of the people by efficiency, so you cannot complain about being unproductive. But you complain about your feeling of being unproductive, which is kind of like, you probably consciously can understand that it is it is just like, it is meaningless. Your feeling of unproductive your feeling of unproductiveness, it comes from a very unrational basis. It comes from a very unrational point, and hence why you cannot really complain about being, about not being but feeling unproductive, because it's, as I said, it's kind of like, when you're already productive, you cannot complain about not being productive. And the feeling stays there. It's like, if you don't have a solution to this thing, to this problem, you don't have like, you, the feeling will stay. And hence why I'm recording this video. I'm recording this video for you because, like, I have been there. I have felt this guilt and shame, and when I looked up on the internet for the solutions, there were no videos, there were no books, there were no like courses, or I don't know, anything of that sort. There was no education on that front. Just simply because it's like, it's, this problem is for like, the people who have this problem, they're in a very specific group. Those people are like, they have been optimizing, me and you have been optimizing for productivity for quite a long time right now. Hence why there are just not a lot of people in who can relate to us. So, what are the solutions? What are the solutions to productivity debt? Because, like, by now you probably understand what productivity debt means, and I don't need to explain it to you. Like, if I would give just a general summarize, you wake up every single day with this feeling of some kind of like a debt that you need to pay back. And this debt is a productivity debt. And if you don't, you cannot overfulfill it, you cannot overpay it. And basically, if you don't pay it back until you go back to sleep, you'll be flooded with those negative feelings. You probably understand by now, so I didn't need to explain it to you. So, what are the solutions? What are the practical solutions to not feeling this guilt and shame and regret and all of those feelings? What I found is that no amount of schedules, routines, all of this stuff, it doesn't help. It just doesn't simply help. So I'm not going to give you a super optimized, super well done, like perfect daily schedule which you can follow, and you will never feel the guilt and shame again. Because, like, you will, you can make yours, you can create the best possible routine that is out there, and you'll still feel unproductive. Because, like, this, our mind, our brain, just like, it adapts to your schedules, and hence why your expectations rise each time that you create a new routine. So this is like, this is fighting an uphill battle which you cannot win. So all of the solutions that I'm going to give to you, Those are all mental models. Those are all the mental models which you can think in. And the first one, and probably the best one, is telling yourself that life is not as serious as as your brain tries to make it. So it sounds woo, it sounds very airy, it sounds like an advice that would be on like a self-improvement pillow, or I don't know, on wallpaper, on like some self-improvement quote wallpapers or something like that. I'll explain what I mean to you. Life in itself. So look, man, visualize yourself on lying on your deathbed. Visualize yourself just like being there, all of your relatives, your children, your, I don't know, your great grandchildren are there. All of your relatives are standing near you, you're on your deathbed. What are you going to remember? What life moments are going to be the ones which pop up in your mind, which are going to think like, damn, I'm grateful for the life that I lived. And I can certainly say you, those are not going to be the moments where you have worked those extra 30 minutes to like accomplish more stuff in your business. Those are not going to be the moments where you have, I don't know, earned extra 100 euros for like because you did that business project. Here's the thing, man. Optimizing for business, optimizing for making more money, it's fantastic. But the thing is, it's like, it's a very, it's a game that you can't overplay. And if you overplay it, you're going to regret it. Because the thing is, it's like nobody in the moment feels regret that he has earned more money. If I would make extra, like, the reason why I started uploading, not the reason why I'm uploading not on a daily basis right now, but on a weekly basis, is because I got a real job right now. Like I'm working, but I'm not 9 to 5, not that shit, but like I'm basically working on a massive project right now. I'm getting paid for it, so I kind of have a real work right now. And the thing is, it's like nobody in the moment regrets earning extra money. But the thing is, it's like it's a very the feeling that you're going to get of regretting earning more money, it is not going to, you're not going to feel it right now, but you're going to feel it 60 years later. And that is going to be, let me tell you something, it's going to be an awful feeling. It's going to be one of the worst feelings that you can get, that you have wasted a massive part of your life just like earning more money, earning more money, earning more money, where you when you have already like the money that you need. But you have sacrificed spending time with your family, going outside into nature, enjoying the things that you like. Maybe you like, I don't know, maybe you like reading, maybe you like, I don't know, bloody bird watching or something like that. It's like you have sacrificed the things that you like and the things that you needed to do for earning that like extra, I don't know, 50 euros. That is pointless. That is like literally a pointless thing to do. You're not going to remember this stuff on your deathbed. You know, here's the thing, man. One of the most, like, if I would tell you what what were the least memorable times, what were the least memorable periods in my life were, like, what were those? I can tell you with full certainty, that the periods of my life which were the most memorable were the ones where I haven't been really following my routine. I haven't been really following my daily schedule. But the most forgettable ones were the ones where I was just like maxing out for productivity, where I was just like ruthlessly optimizing for making more money and for that shit. It's like the this is something that you need to ingrain in your mind. The most forgettable periods of your life will be the ones where you have been ruthlessly optimizing for productivity. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't do this stuff. It's like going on a monk mode probably will get you the benefits. It will probably get you the results that you want. It will make you more money. And like, I'm not going to pretend that I'm some like Buddhist right here who is just like who who is not valuing money at all. It's like I understand that you need to buy food, you need to pay for the rent, you need to like get buy the clothes. Like of course money is important. I'm not talking in those terms where like money isn't important or money is important. It's like if I see somebody who is telling me that money isn't important, so it's like, yeah man, you can tell that when you are a monk, but when you are just like a mortal, when you need to buy food, when you need to pay for the rent, it's like when you need to pay the bills, like money matters. It matters a lot. But there is a point where you kind of like when you can over optimize for money. And I'm talking, let me tell you something. I'm talking about money right now because like this is the thing that productivity is akin to. This is like what most of the people optimize. Like all of the guys who are like trying to optimize for productivity, they optimize for productivity because it will at the end it will earn them more money. So it's like you probably get what I mean right here. And optimizing for more money, optimizing for productivity can be fantastic in the moment, but you really need to be very cautious to not overplay that game because like if you overplay it, if you will sacrifice decades of your life for earning that little bit extra money, it's like, yeah, you've earned it. Congratulations. But it's like you have wasted years of your life which you could have enjoyed, which you could have actually like done some things that you would actually enjoy. Maybe you would spend more time with your family. Maybe you would go on a trip to like that country. Maybe you would just like I don't know, walk more. It's like, yeah, you've earned more money, but what 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 price have you paid? What is the price that you have paid for earning more money? And this is honestly a thought that not a lot of guys who optimize for business are going to integrate in their mind. But if you can just like hold it and meditate on it for a couple of days, it's like you will understand what I mean. Making money is fantastic. It's like if you can earn some money to not live in poverty, if you can learn, sorry, if you can earn the amount of money that will make your life comfortable, that will achieve you the financial freedom, it's like good. That's actually good. But if you're trying to earn billions when you in fact you need only couple hundreds of thousands, it's like what's the point? What's the point actually? You know, there was a podcast that I listened to probably like half a year ago, and this podcast was on the biographies of like the most successful people, like champions, I don't know, like billionaires to get a point. And you know what's one of the most common regrets that they have? It's earning more money. It's not spending that much time with their family. It's just basically sitting in the office cubicle for, I don't know, 80% of their lives and earning more money. It's like in the moment, it feels like a right thing to do, but it really isn't. It really isn't. It's like probably you need only a couple of hundreds, hundreds of thousands. And you need to probably earn, I don't know, like I have seen this graph that probably the best income that you can get in your life is somewhere around like 300,000 a year. So if you earn 300,000 euros, dollars, like that currency a year, you'll probably be the happiest that you will ever be, because like you have the right amount of money to live a good life. You can buy a new house, you can drive a nice car, your children can eat like good food, you can go on like good trips. Just like your financial problems and needs are covered, but at the same time, you don't have that much stress. It's like the government is not interested in you when you earn 300K a year. But if you would earn like billions, like, yeah, man, there not only the government is going to be interested in you. And hence why not taking like productivity so seriously, realizing that, like, look, man, as I said, the most memorable periods of my life were the ones where for example, I woke up and I couldn't do my like morning routine because I had to like go somewhere. Let me explain. Let me like add something right here. The happiest periods of my life were the ones where I kind of had the stable routine. I had the plan of what I need to do, and I kind of like balanced it out. The daily schedules, the productivity stuff, the self improvement stuff. But on the other hand, I had something to do. Like my life wasn't boring. Probably the spring of this year, so 2024, the early spring, no, not even the early spring, like the whole spring month, the whole spring season was the happiest for me in my whole life. Just basically because I had a lot of free time in the early spring of this year, and I was productive. I was doing all of the routines and all of this stuff. But at the same time, I had those days where like I couldn't basically do all of my normal habits because like I need to go on like a trip, or I would go on like a massive walk, or like I just basically had those unusual events. I had those, I wouldn't say black swan, no, those are not black swan events, but basically I had like some interesting stuff to do in my life. And spring of this year was probably it is probably the most memorable time of my life, just simply because like I had something to do. If you constantly live in this spontaneous way, of course you're not going to be happy, just simply because like you won't make any progress. So I'm not telling you to live just spontaneously. It's like, no, but have a plan of what you're going to do, and then also integrate some of like the more unusual activities. Go on trips, travel a lot. This is the advice that I bloody hate when all of those self-improvement gurus, alpha males, just like start talking about this stuff. And it is that you should, for example, like they always attack this group of people. You shouldn't go backpacking around Europe. You shouldn't go like on traveling, I don't know, to that country, because like this is pointless when you can earn more money. It's like, look, man, you can, as I said, you can go and work, I don't know, 25 hours a day, fucking optimizing for all of this stuff, earning $2 gazillion per hour. But at the end of your life, you're not going to be happy. It's like you can talk about not like why emotions are pointless, why emotions are wrong, and all of this stuff. It's like, man, I fucking bet that feeling like shit is going to be not a desirable position in your life. It's not going to be a desirable place to end up in. Because like if you will sacrifice all of your productive, or not even productive, all of the years in your life, when you have the help, when you have the time for like just making more money, it's like, yeah, you'll be that guy who's 90, who's going to have like gazillions of dollars in his bank account. But the thing is, it's like, what are the things which you can remember? You cannot remember shit. just basically because like you haven't done anything in your life. That backpacking couple who went on a trip to Europe and which you can piss off for like for eternity. It's like the problem is that they're going to have a memorable story for the rest of their life. Yeah, they might not have that much money. It's like, yeah, good. They have a story. They have the emotion. They have the happy feeling. They have the. It's like there is going to be always a guy who comes in those like when somebody starts talking about travel, and he's going to tell that like, oh, but the travel industry is worth like $20 billion or something like that, and hence why they're trying to convince you. It's like, man, when somebody tries to convince you that you shouldn't go traveling because like the travel industry is worth this, and hence why they're using all of this money to manipulate you to buy that like ticket on a plane. It's like, man, the food industry is probably worth like two, I don't know, quadrillion or like you, the food industry is worth more than travel industry. Is that the reason why not you're not going to eat right now, just simply because like they market food, they just like they advertise food? It's like, no, of course not. The same thing with travel. It's like, yeah, they might try to like make you more happy because like you travel, but like if you actually feel happy when you travel, it's like, why not? Why not? It's like I went on more trips in my life than probably most of the people have. And let me tell you something, I haven't regretted one. I haven't regretted a single one of those trips. Like, I'm not even talking about the family trips where we all go on holidays. Like, no. Where I have, those are the trips where I have just like, those are like the bro trips where I have went with a couple of my friends to like the city, I don't know, 200, 100 kilometers near the place where I live. And we just basically went there for a day. It's like, I have done those things. And I haven't regretted any, like, I haven't regretted anything. I have no regrets. It's like those memories of me going with my friends on like a trip to some like random city. It's like those feelings that I still get till this day. Like months have passed, but I'm still grateful that I went on those trips. This is this is pretty hard to ingrain in the mind of some like guy who optimizes for business. This is a very unusual, this is a very unconventional self-improvement advice. And I know a lot of the people are going to get this advice wrong, that you shouldn't be productive at all. It's like, no. What I'm telling you is that you should have a stable routine, and most of your life you should live up to that routine. But don't make it a priority. Don't try to like optimize for the maximum amount of like wealth that you can accumulate. Try to optimize for stories, try to optimize for life experience. Those things in the end are going to matter more than the numbers in your bank account. Probably for the last like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes I have sounded like a, I don't know, some like self-improvement guru Instagram quotes type of guy. But it's like, if you can just like have this thought in your mind, and of course take it with a degree of critical thinking, you and the end you live your life. So like, I'm 100% pro critical thinking. Take it with a grain of salt, but really think about what I have said in this video, because like if you really understand it, this might change your life. And so yeah, I hope this will help you, and see you in the next one.